There are 2 points that I want to mention. One is a different field is good, but the best science today is done at the intersection of different disciplines. The idea that you can go into your lab and have your 4 students and publish something that will change the world is over. And unfortunately, most of you are working in labs where your supervisor has his or her own lab. So you will never have that luxury. I don't think most of them made a difference with working in that style. You guys won't make a difference if you're up that style. So learn a different area, learn a different field. I don't mean a molecular biologist learning cell biology or a microbiologist learning immunology. I'm talking about goal on engineering, goal on management, goal on policy, goal on something else, completely different. It's a good idea. Having said that, it actually does not matter that much as to who you work with. And how do you decide who should you postdoc with? I have always told people, ask a very simple question. If you want to pick a postdoc mentor, find out what the people who did the postdoc in that person's lab are doing today. And ask yourself, would you like to be any one of those phenotypes? Then that is the right lab for you. That's more important than what you do. Because it's about the learning of the thinking process rather than the exact technology, because all the technologies you learn, there will be new ones before you know it.
Satya, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think I'll just reinforce what Ram said, and I'll draw upon my master's level understanding of ecotones, right? You must have where 2 ecosystems meet, and that's where the diversity is higher, right? And when I was finishing my PhD, I forgot to mention one thing. You have to also think about externalities. I got, for the last 20 years, and it's been recorded, so I can fib anywhere. I'm on steroids. No, not literally. I have ulcerative colitis, and which was detected in Canada. So it was a very sudden hemorrhage of, and I have arthritis and all of that. But I decided to actually do a postdoc in issues of manufacturing and science policy, right? So I finished my PhD and then wanted to do that. So I actually went to Institute for Manufacturing in University of Cambridge to do my postdoc and looked at manufacturing issue. And boy, oh boy, the kind of people I met were just amazing. There were engineers, there were scientists, there were sociologists, political scientists, everybody under one roof looking at a problem, right? So, and that's what happens to you when you do postdocs, really even orthogonally, not even whether you're doing in cell, in one field and then you want to even change animal models from Drosophila to mice or all that, but I did completely orthogonally, and that really helped me understand what others are doing. So I completely, endorse what you were saying.
Thank you, Satya. So we have the next one that goes to Smita. Why have career options other than academia received less attention? Is money a factor?
To some extent, yes. But I don't think money is a factor, at least in today's world. It's basically why careers outside academia have always got less traction is because academia was considered the place to go. I guess that was the notion that was there in our ecosystem. Everyone felt that yes, if you've taken that road, if you've done your undergrad, your postgrad, your PhD, the next step is to become an independent PI and run your own lab. There was no other thought that was around, and that is why people who wanted to move out were considered at times failures, at times they were looked down upon. But things are changing. There are jobs emerging. Even in India, there are now lots of jobs that have come up, and I'll tell you, money is never a factor if you're doing something that gives you happiness at the end of the day. So even if, let's say, academia gives you permanency, gives you a salary at the end of the month, but if you're not happy, that salary, that permanency would not go very long. So,
yep, sounds good. You want to add something?
I think I read that question differently. So that that person is asked, is that person asking that the salary outside of academia is less?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you don't know. There may be 10 times more. Okay. So if that's the
Card carrying academic, we are poor.
that's fine. But if you're thinking that salaries outside of academia, see, I think the value of academia, which I still love, is that is inquiry driven and you get to go to the depths that you want to get to go, right? But salary wise, it's a whole host of, drawdown of banks you can have, even in science policy.
Thank you. You have something to say. So the next one, I'm asking back again Smita on this, and no, Satya, is the question goes like this: I may be wrong, but there is general negative attitude towards individuals who move out of academia into different fields. Did any of the panelists face anything such? Support from fellow academicians. So it's more to do with.
I think it's between me, Smita and Shambhavi would probably answer that, and Rams and Madhu can jump in too. I think I was blessed to, and I'm an atheist, so when I use the word blessed, you know what I mean. My atheist God blessed me by having a wonderful, PhD committee. I was in East Anglia, in Norwich. And, I had Dylan Edwards and I had Yelena. They were fantastic people. What they did to me every time I met them and said, oh, I haven't produced the results that they wanted me to, is to say that, they encouraged me, but they never discouraged me when I said, that's what I want to do. They were actually helpful in trying to find out what I should be doing, connecting me to people, making sure that I do those courses that help me do that, and making aware. It's all about informational asymmetry. So anybody who can do. So I've been happy, but I don't know how it could be different for different people. So from the rest of the world, I might have faced कि ये क्या छोड़ दिया academia चला गया इधर, failure. But who cares? I'm a small town boy, right? So you got to stand up for yourself. That's it. Dunya jo bole, how does it really matter? You, like Smita said, you have to be happy. But yes, there is that perception.
Shambhavi, you have something to say.
So I think my biggest detractor was myself for the first 6 months, because I thought, oh, I love this field. I love being in wet lab. I love doing what I do. But still, there was this bit of mine that felt that, no, I want to do something else. And that took a bit of time to get over. I did get a lot of negative effects. So when Pushkar and I started CloudKit, which is our company, we were incubated at IIM Bangalore. And we used to meet mentors every week. And a lot of times I've been asked, as a PhD student, as a postdoc, I was working on breast cancer. I was trying to figure out better ways of killing cancer cells in a petri dish at least. So a lot of people would ask me, but you're curing cancer. You're curing cancer and now you're doing this inventory management business. What, why? You're a debt to society and, a lot of stuff that came my way. But I must say, a lot of the faculty at NCBS did support me. So Sunil Lakshman, who was at INSTEM, put me in touch with Takshashila. He still supported me with my ideas about CloudKit. Rams was a sounding board for most of the stuff that I do. I did get support from there. And I think my biggest support, and it came from a very strange source, it was my dad. So 6 months, and I'm sorry, I'll take a minute to tell this story because I thought that was the turning point for me. So 6 months after I left my job at INSTEM, I wasn't making any money. I was still trying to figure out what to do. CloudKit was still an idea stage. Takshashila was still weekly meetings. Still could not decide what I wanted to exactly do. And I wasn't earning a salary. And my dad called me up one day. And I thought, okay, he's going to ask me for grandchildren. Because, out of job, 30-year-old woman, what do you expect? And I was like, okay, he's going to ask me for grandchildren. And he's like, Shambhavi, I really need to have this important conversation with you. And I was like, what? He's like, what are you doing with your life? And I was like, Dad, I'm figuring things out. And he's like, yeah, but where's the money coming for you to figure things out? And I was like, Pushkar's got a decent job. I'm okay. He's like, no, I did not raise you to be this. I raised you to be a financially independent woman. you can figure out whatever you want, but I want you to be earning money at the same time. And I was like, okay, I really need to do something. And that actually kicked me into action, right? It was nice to get all of this support, but sometimes I think just having like this positive environment around you also doesn't help. Someone really needs to kick your butt. So that was my father, and I think from then on I really started focusing more on doing stuff. So there's good and bad influences in your life. It's up to you what you take. And I prefer to take only the good ones. The bad ones can well. They're not going to help me out with anything anyways. So just ignore them.
You have something now?
Okay, so yes, I did my PhD out of my own wish. I wanted to do, and that too I was very clear I wanted to do from IISc. I did, and I really enjoyed that whole process of, doing lots of really interesting things, from setting up a lab to working late nights to everything. But towards the end, I was kind of clear that academia is not for me. And when I broke this news to my supervisor, obviously it was not taken well, because now I understand from his point of view, I was his first PhD student. And your first PhD student telling you that you're not continuing the legacy, it would not be taken well. But I was very clear. I didn't know where am I heading to. All he told me was, if sales and marketing is what you want to do, just go. He was not very happy, but I was very clear that, well, I would not go for a postdoc. So that one decision, and I had taken similar decisions earlier as well in my life, that what you do not want to do in life, be very clear about it, even if you do not know what you want to do. Things would fall in place if you are confident about it. So don't worry, there would be such things coming in your way. For long, I used to hear from a lot of other family members, luckily not from my parents. They were always very supportive, but from many others, that what are you trying to do? They were not sure. But I was sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm happy. And I guess, yeah, so just be confident and move forward.
I think it took me, my father, quite a long time to accept. It's almost like, you know what I mean. So, it actually took him quite a long time. So he wasn't, and then he will ask me, "To karta kya hai?" I mean, in Odia, obviously, right? And then I'll have to explain. But what happened last year was the British Council chose one of the alumni to represent them from India. So they sent 5 minutes video. So I had my day, like in the limelight, and they sent that video to him. See, British Council came down from London to talk about my story, how British education can change lives, and so he was quite happy after that.
So it's an interesting question, because I'm a professor, right? Most of my friends, and I work with all of them. Yeah, all of my friends think if you can't be in academics, you're a failure. You went to industry because you couldn't get a job in academia. You're doing science communication because you couldn't get a job in academia. You're doing whatever you're doing because you couldn't get a job in academia. So if you do a PhD and if you didn't get a job in academia, you're useless, right? What the chart he showed, everybody else was useless. And I've had many students like Smita in my lab, who went to startups, who went to do business, and all of them ask me the same question. And I tell them, who's telling you you're an idiot? Oh, this professor told me, that professor told me. I said, can you spell professor for me? How many of you know how many F's and how many S's are there in a professor? How many F's? How many S's? The professor is 1 F for a fool and 2 S for an ass. That's weird to remember. Don't worry about this.
Madhu, sorry, I forgot to. So my disclaimer is whatever I'm saying is my personal opinion, and it's not attached to my current organization or my previous organization, having worked in the government and other places. So I like the Twitter disclaimer, personal opinion.
Thank you. So one of the things that often comes up. One of the surveys tells, at least in the West, for when a person is completing their PhD and they look for what should they be doing for the future planning and things like that, they look at net for support or counseling or advice or information. which is something is kind of a sad thing, because I think there should be a very strong mentorship network, or a system should be built in the places, in the institutes. So I would like to ask the panel about the needs of mentorship among the PhDs, to advise them what to do, how to judge themselves and how to go forward, what are the options that are there. So I'll start with Ram on this.
Okay, so mentoring is very important. At the end of the day, you need to have this one person who touches your heart, who has nothing to gain or lose because you succeed, but only cares about your happiness. And my mentor in this was my postdoc supervisor. None of you know him. Okay, if I say the name, you think he's not a worthy scientist. His name is Hans Eklund. Okay? But today, many things that you read in the biochemistry textbook is coming from his lab, but you don't know him. He was the chair of the Nobel Prize Committee for Chemistry for 15 years. So all of the Nobel Prize winners who got the Nobel Prize during the 15 years have touched his feet, so they know him, but you don't know him. So he asked me a very interesting question at one point of time. I was ready to quit academics because, according to me, every famous scientist I had met was an asshole. They were arrogant, obnoxious, thought their idea was the only idea that is worthwhile getting funded and should be done everything. Everybody else is wasting the time. I mean, isn't it true all of you think like that? My idea is the only idea that's worthwhile, that's good. The most important thing, that will cure cancer, the water problem, the food problem, the world will be a better place if I get all the money to do my research, right? But this is okay. You need those kinds of people too. But I didn't want to be one of those. And he told me, it doesn't matter what papers you publish, it doesn't matter what you do. There are scientists like that, but you ask yourself, are you going to go to bed every day and sleep happily? If you can do that, it doesn't matter what profession you do. And I think that was the best advice he gave, and he followed that. At the age of 65, when he retired, he took his bag, walked away, never showed up in the lab from the next day. Amazing, right? So, you need that mentor who can touch your heart and make that important comment. And he made this comment when I was actually going to go work in industry. And then I changed my mind. But you need the mentor who is not, as she said, worried about their legacy, but is interested in you. And it's important to find that person. It will change your life.
But how do you find them?
You have to talk to a lot of people. You have to talk to a lot of people. You don't know who that is, but you will make that connection. When you know, it's like finding your spouse. You can't ask me why I chose to marry this woman. I don't think that's a rational decision. But that my gut told me.
Shambhavi, you want to say something on mentorship?
Sure. So, very different from Ram's.
We like to keep these comments maybe brief, so we kind of want
I'm
to...
still searching for my mentor. One thing I will say though is that you get a lot of free advice. Okay, so one of the first things you have to learn is to sift through it. I've got advice from having children at a bioweapons conference. Okay, someone came to me and said that you should have children. To going back to curing cancer. So just be careful with the advice you get. Like Ram said, it is a gut feeling. I guess there's one mentor that I really look up to who's in Ahmedabad. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. So it will take a long time, but hopefully.
Smita?
So I guess thanks for taking, putting this topic out. I guess it's really, really important. During our formative years, I guess no one tells us that there is this concept of, at least when I was studying, no one ever said that there's something like, having a mentor in your life is important. You look upon your parents and your teachers, but mentor is really different. And Rams is sitting right next to me. He's one of my mentors. It's really, really important that in today's world, if all of us have to succeed, we have to have a mentor, and there has to be a mentoring program in our professional settings, in our institutions. Yeah. No one ever pays attention to the lives or the careers of the students that are coming out of these institutions. Things are changing. Conference like this definitely is very, very valuable, but I guess each one of us, if not from our institutions or through our own networks, but each one of us, if we have 1, 2, 3 mentors, it would make a difference, and time only would tell you that how important it is. So please look for a mentor in your life.
Satya.
Quick comment. I think institutionalizing mentorship within a place like CCMB or CDFD or any such place is, you can do that. I mean, I remember in UEA, for example, in East Anglia, I had a committee member who played the mentoring role, and Yelena is her name, and I think the idea was that hopefully she didn't have any collaboration